Shall we start? Dear, could could you please close the door, please? Yeah. Okay. Dear colleagues and friends, uh, in the within the GN board, we have a big satisfaction of the evolution of this conference, the first annual conference, and we wanted to share with you this satisfaction. It's mostly because the quality of the speakers and the participation of all the attendants, and we are grateful for that, and we'd like to, and we would like you to continue with this collaboration, not just once at a year, but during all the year. Afterwards, Bertrand will explain to you what's the program of action, and what are the programs, and what is the activities. As you know, this is about to build editors community worldwide, editors coming from different platforms, and taking special care of innovation and standards of quality of our job. We are convinced that journalism, as we have discussed so many hours in these 2 days, has changed a lot, and so the organizations of journalists, of editors, should change, or should recreate themselves on new basis. And our new basis, and our most important difference, is that we are gathering in the, not just in the board, but in the whole organization, editors coming from different platforms, from different channels of expression. And our activities, as Bertrand will enter in more detail, will be the annual conference, which is the presential most important activity, and quite a lot, but selected programs, mostly developed by the net, in order to interact and to have the possibility to interact all around the world. I have the pleasure to give the floor to Bertrand in order to explain the annual report of this organization, created, as it has been said, last March. Bertrand.
Thank you, Xavier. So annual report means 12 months, but we created GEN in March, and the first activity was in April. So it's a 6-month report. So I will show you how many members we are, and the evolution of membership. So there were 0 members in April, and today we are 500 members. And I think, thank you. And I think we will be 1,000 very soon, because the rhythm of new registration at the moment is between 10 and 12 per week. So going quite, it's a good level of registration. And as we wanted to be cross-platforms, this idea of being cross-platform is really the DNA of GEN. DNA of GEN is to be cross-platform. And the second DNA is to avoid the division between developed countries, emerging countries. So it was really the second main focus for our board. And so what you could see, I will start by countries. And sometimes in emerging countries, it's easier to launch a network of television, radio, newspaper, website from scratch than in developed countries. To enter the market is easier. So it was the first goal. Here, not yet good, because Europe is overrepresented. But I'm convinced when I will show you next year this graph, the role of Europe will diminish. And so really, it's not yet what we want to be, what we want to show, but here it is interesting. The third graph here, GEM membership by platform. So here you can say there is a problem. They want to be cross-platform, and 50% of their members are print. So why a problem? So historically, GEN was founded by members and board members of the World Editors Forum, depending on WANIFRA, an association of print publishers. So historically, we are born with this background. But now we could change this image, could change that first with the board. We welcomed Meredith from CNN. We welcome Steve Herman from BBC. We welcome, so really we welcome editors from broadcast. We welcome Dan Gilmore, Jeff Jarvis, about new media. So the board was a symbol of what we hope to become in the next, not here, 18 months. So something much more balanced. And here, the last graph is, it is a network of editors-in-chief, but we want to be open to developers and designers, because to set up what was shown in the last session about the 4-screen strategy, you need editors and you need engineers just to imagine these new services. And the discussion with Paul Steiger today morning was also interesting. He said, data journalism was not at all our goal when we created that 3 years ago. And today we become specialists and with engineers, and Paul discussing with engineers, and not journalists or specialists of content. So here it is the first result. And what we hope with this conference is to ask you to brand awareness, so GEN brand awareness, first to become members, and then to convince other colleagues to become members. And what does it mean? Emerging country, it's free. It's really a decision of the board. It remains free. And now for developed countries, so here it will be €200, 265 US dollars to become a member. And our main goal, our main task will be to provide services. Because when you say it's €200, why? If we don't provide services. So we will provide services, and now it will be our main task to convince people to become member. And I hope that we will be 1,000 by the end of next year. So quite here, the critical mass will be there if we have this kind of balance figures. Okay, that's it was about GEN membership. And here the programs. So why an association? What are you doing? What are you doing? So today morning, you understood that we were launching this program, Data Journalism Awards, and it will be our first awards, because we want to launch awards about ethical journalism. It is one of our goals. So we want to partner with sponsors, with foundations to create what we think forward-thinking. Data journalism is forward-thinking. Ethical journalism seems obvious, but after the news of the World scandal, not so obvious. So we have to work on it. Nothing established. So a line of awards, and it is very classical. It is the role of an association to launch that. So you heard today morning about the Data Journalism Awards. Here, Coalition for Ethical Journalism. What is interesting is the word coalition. Coalition. So we don't want to say Jen is doing something exceptional. No, not at all. To think about ethics is basic when you are a journalist. You are not on a daily basis, but you have to face these issues very often. So the word coalition means that we want to work with, if we take the example of Asia, we want to work with PAMPA. PAMPA is a very important association in Asia, in Australia, evidently. We want to work with them. We want to work in the US with ASNE, Association of Newspaper Editors. We want to work with other associations, EBU in Europe, European Broadcasting Union. So we want to gather energies. So it's very important. We don't want to appear as a leader, but we want to gather energy on this topic. And again, it was launched today. Today you received a first...
Let me add, Bertrand, that we want also we want to collaborate also with other organizations of the civil society, like foundations. We are in a good cooperation with the foundation represented by our friend Adrian, who is there, and other institutions of because I mean, ethical journalism is not just about journalists, but about the society in the large sense, in the broad sense.
Then 2 programs already initiated, but at a very early stage, Gen Editors Lab, based on this idea of Alan Rusbridger, The Guardian, that it's not enough to share, you have to mutualize, you have to cooperate between media. And what we want to do, for instance, we are working on a software who could be the 2nd generation of Cover It Live. When you have to cover live an event, a revolution, a festival, something like that, at the moment you have the choice of software, or either you develop it by yourself, either you buy a software, but the result is not so good, and we want to insist on collaboration between media. So we will define guidelines with, at the moment we are working with The Guardian, with Le Monde, with BBC, with Vorarlberger Nachrichten for regional newspapers. So to develop software, not only so, our job is not to produce conferences, seminars, study tools. Our job today will be classical as these conferences, but also forward-thinking. So setting up, building software for newsrooms. So we want to do that if we have the energy. And then last point is Editors Marketplace. Here it is a B2B directory. You have questions, you want to launch a project, something, and in front of you have suppliers. At the moment, all professions, they have a B2B directory. In our profession, our content, it doesn't exist. It is absurd. So we want to establish this directory. I have a UGC project, user-generated content. I know exactly what I want to do, but who could be the provider? Who could be the supplier? Who could be the consultant? So you have two solutions. Either you ask Jim Chisholm, because he knows everything, either you are here. So I didn't see you behind the camera. So either you ask Jim Chisholm, either you go to the Editors Marketplace, launched in January. But again, it's a very simple idea, but it doesn't exist. And I think in our profession, it often happens that simple ideas are not implemented. So that's it for programs. Last point, we are 3 for developing that. So the goal is totally different with classical association. I can take the example of OneIFRA. They have 100 people, but doing everything, logistics, marketing, press release, everything. We outsource everything. That's exactly the contrary. So our goal is to think a 21st century association. Here in the center, you have the brain. The rest, you don't care. In the sense that you find people to do that. But really, the thing is to have at the center the brain and how to launch projects. That's the goal. That's the goal. I think I have finished. Antoine? No? And so for the report,
please.
It's finished.
Yeah,
Is it okay for you, Mr. Vice President?
No, I think it's fine to open up for questions.
Yes.
Does anybody put a question, a comment, a code? Please.
Can the Press Council of India become a member of this organization?
Oh, sure. When we say editors-in-chief, yes, I have understood. So we say...
I regulate editors.
We say acting editors-in-chief, but I told you we would like to have designers, we would like to have developers. Is Peter Espina here? Peter, head of design of Global Times. We would like to have him on board. So, and press association, so sure, for sure. It is, Meredith developed this concept of open journalism. We want to be an open association with core values, but to be open.
Mm-hmm. And we have some...
Yes?
You are not monitoring press freedom section, you are not including in this?
Here.
Monitoring of press freedom roundtable, earlier you conducted every
We,
time in past, but this time you didn't give attention to press freedom.
we have the idea too, but we wanted to start with ethical journalism, which is a subject quite related, quite linked with press freedom, because was mostly the vacuum subject to fulfill. There are already quite good organizations for press freedom, and I do think, and we do think in the board, that the most important task to do there is to confederate, federate efforts between all the organizations devoted to that aim. So we plan to do activities on the press freedom field, but in a second moment, and we plan to do it also as a coalition. This concept of coalition we want to expand to other activities.
But,
Harold?
Of course, the idea of GEN is press freedom and to expand the press freedom, and that's the whole organization are based on that, of course.
Not even in the statutes, it's one of the fundamental points.
Yeah, and in the manifesto.
Yeah.
And in the manifesto, and for instance, we went to Egypt in June for a first mission, because in our statutes there is this idea to establish, to set up national associations of editors. So not only a global association, but national associations. And so there is this basic idea that when you have a guild of editors, when you have an association of editors, the balance between power with publishers, with governments, is more effective. And here, we never developed that, but the Anglo-Saxon model, I think, is quite good, because in all Commonwealth countries and in Norway, you have a guild of editors. You find that in the UK, you find that in the US, you find that in Nigeria, you find that in India, you find that, but this idea to balance the power of governments and publishers with an editors association is quite good. And so, but we never elaborate on that. So, but I think it answers to your question.
Just one detail to be added is that we, even if the core activity on that will be developed in a second moment, we have already started some contacts, mostly with EPI and other organizations, in order to explore how could we collaborate in this field. Please.
Ah.
I'll ask after you.
Carrie.
Well, the question I was going to ask is sort of an extension about editors-in-chief as members and things like this. I mean, I'm a member of the board. We talked about it the other day. I think it's important for GEN to be a little bit more inclusive, expansive about, thank you, a little more expansive and inclusive about who it's talking about as members, because one of the things we're doing is we're sort of rewriting here, we're fomenting change, we're encouraging innovation. I think it's important to note that a solid number of the people who are members right now come from developing environments rather than developed environments. I think we need to allow for the fact that journalism now is occurring in many different formats than the traditional, and there are people out there doing journalism that I think everybody would agree is journalism, who don't fall into the editor-in-chief mode. And I think, however we want to phrase it, the listings that we put up there, I think it's critical that we, in our role of trying to actually encourage these changes in journalism and media, are saying that, hey, if there's this one lady out there who is a blogger and she's all by herself and whatever, but she's doing the job of advancing the informed society, which is the mission of journalism, she can be part of GEN. I'd want her in here. And just because she doesn't have the title of editor-in-chief, just because she's not part of some big organization, that she's not fighting a separate publisher or whatever, I'd hate to think that we say, well, you know, she doesn't fit the model of an editor-in-chief. We make it sound like it needs to be some big thing before you can be part of GEN or even be on the board.
I fully agree, Carrie, as you know. And I would put an example that maybe in the first times of the print newspapers, design was not really a subject, but in the first times in which the designers started to have influence in the newspapers, some of the journal of the classical reporters and editors didn't consider designers, newspaper designers, as journalists. And now it's evident, it's obvious that the designers are part of our profession, our job. So I do think that history adds a reason to the one that you outlined.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Arimon.
Thank you. I just want to follow up on your subject. I'm also founder of Indonesian Editors Club, and I can imagine this would be a good, because it's, and I can imagine I saw on this session 2 Skype produced seminars, and I'm wondering if you have the seminar in Paris. It's easy for me also to Skype the things to Jakarta and have all these editors who have no time to go to Paris, because editors now have to work for many platforms, no longer one platform. So little time now. So for those who can go to Paris, they can go to Paris, but we can make a parallel arrangement in the Indonesian Press Club, Editors Club, for instance, where editors also can, learn through the Skype technology. So it also will give the color of, again, is a multi-platform journalism.
No,
Thank you.
We are interested. Tomorrow we discuss, you are here, so tomorrow we discuss that, but we are interested if we can have this kind of, maybe not with Skype, but quality ahead, to develop this kind of participation. Sure. But everybody will be in Jakarta?
Yes, I want to congratulate you, Mr. President and Chief Executive Officer.
Imtiaz.
Yeah, that you had a long fight in World Editors Forum with VAN. I have been provoking you to pick up the fight. Then I disappeared because I was not in favor of splitting the organization. But I see that World Editors Forum was an auxiliary of the VAN. And I just congratulate you, Mr. President, that you have asserted your editorial discretion and taken the policy of editorial policy in your hand. And I wish that you keep keep in Jan the interests and viewpoint and positions of the editors, so that they are strengthened in various countries. And we will extend you all kind of supports in the South Asian region. There are 8 commissions we have formed in 8 countries of South Asia, consisting of editors. And I will be requesting them that to associate with Jan. So my full cooperation to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Imtiaz. Imtiaz, you know him, is not just one of the leading editors in South Asia, but is also the president of a very important association, and more important of that, is a real fighter for the press freedom, and it's an honor to have you here and to have your support. Thank you, Imtiaz.
Thank you. I'm Torsten from Newscred. I just wanted to make a comment on the issue of developers. And I think it's a great idea, and it's great that you guys are thinking of involving developers in this organization. My thought on that would be the best way of getting developers involved is to create a playground for developers, and the best way to create a playground for developers is to give them your content and let them play around with it. The best way to do that is to create an API, like a common way of developers to play with your content, create products, experiment, and make them part of your ecosystem. Now, I present a company that, and I saved my pitch for tomorrow, but I present a company that builds an API. We already have 700 publishers on it, and I work with a bunch of guys who love playing around with content and love create products with great content. I'm more than happy to give that stuff for free to you guys. I think I've worked on the Guardian Open API a few years ago. I helped launching it, and the Guardian now has 400 developers experimenting with Guardian content, and they create some really fantastic, interesting stuff. So that's just a thought that I wanted to add to this discussion.
Thank you very much for your suggestion. That I think it's plenty of common sense, and we will take it in, not in account, but very, very, very in account. Any other comment or suggestion or question? Harold, would you like to? So we are going to do the formal election of the three new members nominated, proposed to the General Assembly. I do think that the best more than an explicit vote would be if there is any comment to formulate on the candidatures by Amanda, Wada, and Hans to be sought in this moment.
And I think Amanda here, so we can give you a microphone just to explain why you were interested to join us.
Yes, I confirm that I'm interested. I was very interested in when I heard about the organisation because I think the multi-platform arena is very important. Been a newspaper journalist for almost 40 years, and it's time we moved on, and it's time that journalists like myself learnt everything there is to know about every platform that is here now or that is coming. And I like the idea of this organisation, and I like the fact that it's looking forward. And so I'm very honoured that I've been suggested for the board. Oh, thank you.
So one word. So you met Wada Kanfa 2 times, yesterday during the lunch and today with this keynote speech. And so I think it was relevant to ask him to participate because Arab world was represented by Morocco, by Nadia Salah, not here, but in Hong Kong. And I think it was important to have Wada Kanfa because of his career, and Al Jazeera really a milestone in the history of journalism in those countries and worldwide. Hans Lareus, so Netherlands, and a very innovative editor-in-chief for radio and television. And what is interesting here is that he's very well connected to EBU, European Broadcasting Union, public televisions in Europe. So quite important organizations. And here we need to develop, to have more board members involved in broadcast. And it is an opportunity. So I think we can proceed to the vote.
This proposition has been formulated not by strictly by vote within the board, but by global consensus after consultation of to everybody, to every member of the board. So if there is any objection or further comment on the 3, please.
at the moment we have Aaron Puri from India Today group. Aaron is representing South Asia. So during several years we had Imtiaz from Pakistan, and at the moment Aaron is a board member for South Asia.
Any other comment? Okay, so approved.
We can move. So here, no comment. It was the photo was taken yesterday. So you have all board member.
No.
Who is missing? Meredith missing. Aaron and Nadia. No. He was not elected. He was not elected. He was elected 50 seconds ago. So, no, not yet. But just
and also
so,
Alejo is. Alejo is missing too.
Alejo not here? Ah, yes.
No,
Yeah, you are right. Alejo not here. And you are invited to the next conference. So it will be in Paris. I think it's quite obvious. And at the moment we have no title. Adopt a 4-screen strategy is just an idea, but I think we will elaborate on that. So what is important? Paris and 29 May, 1st of June. So you are invited, and you will receive many emails from me or from the organization until you register.
And in the end of this first annual meeting, I think it's right to thank Bertrand and his helpers for a great job with a brand new organization.
And I also want to take profit of the occasion to thank you very much to Kerry Northrop and all his team for the fantastic work they have been doing. You will see it in when exactly? It will be at disposal.
What? Sorry, I'm tired.
No.
After the applause, I'm tired. So. From WKU, West Kentucky University.
Yeah, but I mean, when it will be at disposal?
No, it is already on the www.news2011.org, and at the moment I think we have 4 interviews, 4 videos, and we will have around 20 videos tomorrow or after tomorrow.
So in the coming 2 days, the work will be completed. And if there is no any other thing...
We want to thank you, the president.
You are my friend.
And the last point, nothing possible without Romain, without Claire, without the president of Europa Organization, Marc Doncieux. So this conference is a co-production, and so nothing possible without them, in the sense that I told you with 3 persons it's impossible to organize such a conference.
And they are specialized in organizing conferences, just precisely.
So it's they had a fundamental role for you, for us, for Jen.
Okay. Thank you.